Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here because I got a really good story for you today, okay? This person was the first person to be captured using wireless telegraphy. Like when I'm thinking I'm saying that, telegraphy or telegraphy. I'm not sure, but either way, this is a really cool story, okay? So the guy's name is Harvey Crippen, and Harvey was a doctor, and he was very well educated, and he had a lot going for him. But something happens, and you get to decide if he's innocent or guilty on this, and I'm just going to tell the story. If you're new here, my name is Brandy. I do dark history. I put some makeup on my face while I do that. We always talk about witches, vampires, werewolves, poisoners, whoever, whenever. Little tiny stories that nobody's ever heard of. I know I've never heard of this story before, and it's a really good one. So anyways, let's go on ahead and get this party started. So Harvey was born September 11th, 1862 in Coldwater, Michigan. And like I say, he was born to a good family. He was the only surviving child. I'm not sure how many like brothers and sisters he would have had, but he was the only surviving child of his parents. And so he was kind of the golden boy. They wanted the best for him, and he did get the best. He got the best education. He went to the University of Michigan, became a doctor. He did all the right things that you're supposed to do, right? Now, like I say, he went to the University of Michigan homeopathy school. He was a homeopathic doctor, okay? And so, but he did have knowledge of poisons and medicines and all that other kind of fun stuff, of course, as you do. Then he goes on to go to Cleveland Homeopathy Medical College in 1884, where he graduates from there, and of course he becomes a doctor, like I say. Now, old dude has a first wife. We don't know much about her. The only thing we know is that she died from a stroke, and they had a son. And so our guy Harvey decides to let his son stay with his parents, I guess, while he goes off and does all this ecology stuff. And I don't even know what year his first marriage was, but he was married one time before when we get to Cora. Once he became a doctor, he started to practice medicine in New York. Yeah, he kind of opened up his own little place. And in New York is where he meets Cora, which is the person that's going to be his second wife. And they get married in 1894. And so it's not too long before this guy kind of approaches Harvey and says, I have a job for you to kind of run one of my little doctor's offices areas or whatever. But it's in London. Do you think that you and your wife Cora would like to go to London and, help me run this clinic or whatnot? And so he's like, okay, that's totally cool. Now, Cora sang. She sang. Now, she wasn't a huge star or anything like that, but she was a singer. And so she was always in the theater, and she knew all different types of people and all this other kind of stuff. She was into the theater and into also, as we'll find out, other strange things. But don't worry about it. We'll get there. So this homeopathic guy, James Munyon, is like, hey, come to London, work in my office here. And so they go. They're like, oh, this sounds great, we're going to go. Well, the only thing is his credentials didn't transfer to London in a certain type of way. Like, he couldn't see patients, but he could prescribe medicine. And so that's basically what he did, was just like fill prescriptions pretty much. They get to London and everything is starting to work. Cora gets into the theater there, she goes into the Ladies Guild, which will come up later. And so she's socializing, she's doing her thing, and old dude is doling out medicine and all this other fun stuff. Until a little 18-year-old receptionist comes into the picture. Yeah. And he decides, I'm going to start having an affair with her. And so he starts having an affair with her. Well, it seems like everybody and their mom knew that Cora was also stepping out of the marriage. Everybody knew. For some reason, her husband did not. Until he caught her in the bed one day with a lodger, which I'm not sure if that's somebody that was staying with them or somebody that was working at their house. But she got caught red-handed. Yeah. And how he didn't know, I don't know, because everybody knew, supposedly. And so they basically lived together as husband and wife, but he had his side piece and she had hers. So that's how the marriage is right now when we're talking. So as you can imagine, after a while, you think that, maybe this arrangement is good for their marriage, No, not good. Not good for the marriage. They fought constantly. They were so upset with each other. And then all of a sudden, on January 31st, after a party at their home, Cora disappears. Yeah, it's just poof. Just mysteriously disappears, okay? And so then the Ladies Guild, like I told you guys earlier, they get in on it because they get a letter from Harvey saying that she's resigning from the Ladies Guild, that she went back to the United States to go tend to a sick friend. Okay, so that's his first lie, just to let you know. Then, when they found out, because later on, Harvey tells them that she died and she was cremated in California. Now, there was a certain person that heard about this and knew Cora personally and knew that she was Catholic. And evidently, if you're Catholic, you don't get cremated. And so this person decided to pull the plug and was like, look, there's something going on. Because as soon as Cora disappeared, Harvey moved his side piece into the house. And she started wearing all of Cora's clothes and her jewelry, just like out in the open. Just like totally like, hey, look at me. I got on all these jewels. I have on this beautiful dress and it's Cora's and like she's doing all this crazy. I mean, it's insane. So of course people are starting to wonder, did they do something to Cora? The person that ends up taking this to the police is actually a strong woman. She was I guess she was maybe in the circus or somewhat, but her name was Kate Volcana Williams, and she was what you would call, she was a bodybuilder for back then, and back then they would call them strong women. And so she was friends with Cora, and I guess she was probably part of the guild, and she's the one that took this information to the police and was like, look, we're getting all these letters from Harvey saying that all these things are happening, but we haven't heard from Cora, and now he's saying that she's passed away and was cremated in California, but yet we know that she's Catholic, and evidently that's not within the Catholic tradition. So what in the world's going on? So the cops go over there to the house. Knock, knock, knock. So the police go to the house where Harvey was living with his wife, Cora, before she disappeared, and now he's got his little side mistress or whatever in there. And the cops go and start asking questions. They're like, so hey, what's the deal? Like, why are you sending all these letters to the Ladies Guild saying all these things? He says, well, you know what? I just wanted to save face because she ran off with another guy. And it was very embarrassing, and I didn't want everybody to know that that was what happened. Okay. Well, the police took that into consideration. They're like, okay, that with the times, that could be true. Cora, they probably knew of Cora's affairs and things of that matter. But see, Cora had threatened Harvey to expose him and his mistress. And evidently this wouldn't be good for his career as a doctor. And it wasn't too long after she did that she disappeared, okay? But they checked the house and everything looks fine. They check and make sure that everything is in place, and they're making sure she's not just there hidden somewhere or something. And so they think that everything's just fine. So the police, they take his story. They're like, okay, she left with another guy. Totally cool. We're sorry about that, bro. And, you know, we'll leave you alone now. And so the police leave. Well, for some reason, these two people, Harvey and his mistress, decide to go on the run because I guess they didn't think that their story was good enough for the police. So they board a ship and they start heading to Canada, okay? And when people heard that they just kind of dipped out, it just makes you look guilty. You know, there's no other way to say it. It just makes you look guilty when you run if you didn't do anything. You feel me? So the couple's disappearance, of course, raises eyebrows. People are like, what's going on, you know? If you didn't do anything wrong, why are you running? You know? Good questions. So the police take a better look at the house while the two were out of town or on their trip or whatever, or running, whatever they were trying to do. And buried under the cellar is a torso. Yes, they find a torso buried in the cellar underneath the cellar in the house that Harvey and them had, okay? Just a torso. Now, I'm just gonna let you know, guys, this is about to get pretty crazy, okay? So they just found just a torso, no head, no hands, no legs, no bones. Yeah, nothing, but just a freaking torso. Make it make sense. Like, what is this, you know? And so the cops take a good look at this torso and they see a scar on it. And they said, well, Cora had a scar just like that. You know, she had a scar just like that on her stomach as well. So they put out a warrant for the arrest of Harvey and his little side piece or whatever. So let's talk about what Dr. Harvey did, okay, before Cora died. He acquired 5 grains of hyoscine, and I think I'm saying that right, to kill Cora. Now, what is hyoscine and where does it come from? Hyoscine is derived from the deadly nightshade plant, okay? What it does is it can treat motion sickness, period pain, and it's also a sedative for the violent, insane people, I guess. That's just what I was reading. But also, just like anything in large doses, it can also kill you. It can give you dry mouth, blurred vision, hallucinations, coma, paralysis, and death. You can recover from this. If you go through all that and, you know, you don't die, you can recover from it. It's not like arsenic where it like stays in your system and just completely eats away at you. It is, your body clears it out. And so if you survive it, you're good to go. And so what a lot of people were wondering why would a poisoner butcher somebody when the whole point of poisoning somebody was so you wouldn't have to take it to that point. You know what I'm saying? So the police were like, the MO and stuff, this isn't really matching. Like, why would he poison her? Because they found the granules, of course, in the torso, supposedly. They found it. Supposedly. So because they found the traces of the hyoscine or the nightshade in the torso, they put out warrants, like I say, okay? And so here comes a very, very odd part of the story. Actually kind of made me giggle, I'm not even gonna lie. So when the couple goes on the ship, they go in disguise, okay? We've got old dude wearing like a fake mustache, okay? And like a fake beard and like all this stuff, okay? And his mistress dresses up like a boy on the ship and acts as Harvey's teenage son. You know, that's her disguise, is to dress up as Harvey's teenage son. So, but the captain was like, I know who these people are. This has got to be the Dr. Crippen guy. You know, he was under a whole other name and all this other stuff. And he said that he never believed that this girl was a boy, like point blank period. So not only did they try to not even act like father and son because they were embracing and loving on each other. Imagine seeing that, thinking, hey, this is my son, and give me a kiss, son. Like, oh my. So I'm putting it out there that people didn't believe it. Okay, this is what the captain says, word for word, because what he ends up doing is he uses his telegraph machine, his wireless telegraph, and he wires London police and says, hey guys, I think I got your people on my ship over here. Actually, this is what he says word for word. Have strong suspicions that Crippen, London's cellar murderer, and accomplice are among saloon passengers. Mustache taken off, growing beard. Accomplice dressed as a boy. Manner and build undoubtedly a girl. That's what the captain said over the telegraph to get these two busted. Okay, so they were the first ones to get busted with the wireless telegraph by a ship radioing on land, and saying, you know, hey, we got your people. So this is what happens. So the lieutenant dresses up as a captain and meets them when they dock or whatever, and the guy goes on board, dresses as a captain, and then he finds Crippen and he takes off his hat and stuff. He's like, hey, I'm the London police and I'm here to arrest you and your accomplice, you know. And that's how that went down. And then they got taken back to London. When he was captured, the lieutenant actually said, good morning, Dr. Crippen. Do you know me? I am Chief Inspector Dew from Scotland Yard. And then Crippen said, quote unquote, I am not sorry. The anxiety has been too much. He was arrested July 31st of 1910. So they started the doctor's trial in London, of course, and it lasted for 4 days. Now they ended up finding some more pieces of Cora. Okay, I know that sounds awful. And they found part of her liver, part of her kidney, a curler with her hair on it, and a fragment of Crippen's PJs, of Harvey's little PJs or whatever that he wore. And so, of course, this whole time, Crippen is like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I'm innocent. I didn't do it. He even said all the way up until he died that he was innocent of this. Okay. And before he was executed, because of course he was found guilty, he made sure that the court knew that his mistress had nothing to do with it. He was like, she's not in this. She doesn't know anything. Like, she knows nothing. Just leave her alone, basically, is what they're trying to say. And so, old dude gets hung on November 23rd of 1910. And like I said, before he died, he made sure that everybody knew that his side piece didn't have anything to do with it. So the jury actually acquitted her because of that. So I guess he did save somebody. Yeah. So he saved her. Then she ends up sailing to Toronto, this chick, on the same day that her man that she's been with this whole entire time, Harvey, is hung. She leaves. She dips. There is no... I mean, it's unbelievable. There's no support for this man from this woman whatsoever. Which makes me think certain things, but you'll see why in just a bit. So here goes the... Did he actually do it? Okay. Because it's not really that funny because a man lost his life. Okay, so they get this piece of the torso, this piece of skin from the torso, the scar that they found on it. And they do DNA testing in 2007. Okay. This guy named John Trestrell decided to re-examine the evidence connecting Crippen to Cora's case. Okay, and so he's examining the evidence, and because Crippen had always maintained his innocence, like he never even when they found that under his cellar, he was like, "No, I still didn't do anything to Cora." You know what I'm saying? And so, and then plus the mutilation and everything, the cops were is now saying that it didn't really match the MO of a guy who poisons. You know, they try to avoid the mess poisoners do by using poison, evidently, which makes sense. You know, if you're thinking psychologically, like with the police. But anyway, so they compared the skin from the torso to Cora's descendants in 2007. DNA did not match Cora. It did not match Cora. It did not. You heard that right. It did not. And not only that, there was a Y chromosome. It was a boy. It was a man. So the torso belonged to some dude that was buried under the cellar. So chances are they probably bought the house from somebody that had probably killed somebody and buried them under the cellar before they moved out of the house. So this dude died for no reason, like straight up 100%. The findings show that he did not murder his wife or dismember her or bury her under the cellar floor, because it wasn't even a female torso. I mean, can you even believe this? This poor guy ends up going through all this stuff. Okay, but my question, I've got questions. I have questions. Where did Cora go? Where did she go? Like, was he actually telling the truth the third time by saying that she actually left with a man and went back to the United States? Like, and who's the torso? We're not going to find that out. Who was the torso and who did it belong to? Like, I'm telling you, this is one of the craziest stories I've ever read. It was great. They did find the poison in her though. So, but it wasn't her body though. They still found that poison in the body, but it was a Y chromosome. It wasn't a female torso. So you got to think, who is the torso and where did Cora go? Like, seriously, after you would think that if Cora did go to the United States, that she would write her friends back home and say, I found this guy, we're in love, I'm getting married, I'm sorry, I moved back to the United States, you know, but there's no mention of her ever again after January 31st of that year. She just disappeared. And so it's just bizarre that they later on they test this body and they find out that it's not even a female torso. And so they hung this guy for no reason. Now y'all can't even sit there and tell me that ain't the craziest freaking story you've ever heard. Okay? I mean, this poor dude getting got like that. So years later, they exonerated him in 2007. I'm telling you, it's one heck of a story, and I'm so glad that I got to tell it to y'all, and I'm really glad that I came across it. But Dr. Harvey really didn't do himself any favors by running. Hey, he shouldn't have ran. I mean, if you're not guilty of something, then why are you running? Did he know that there was a torso under the stairs? And that's why he ran. Maybe he, offed one of Cora's little misters that she had on the side. Maybe he went bonkers one night and just kind of went ham and, did his doctoring thing and carved up the body and buried it under the cellar. And maybe that's why he thought he was going to get in trouble. There's so many questions. I have so many questions for this story, but no answers, unfortunately, because this is an old story. But that's the story of Dr. Harvey Crippen, as a matter of fact, and how he got hung for murder when he did not even murder. So, at least not that we know of. The body had a Y chromosome. And it did not have any of Cora's DNA in that body, in that torso, or in that part of skin that they tested. And so it's sad that a man lost his life over that. And it's also kind of pathetic that the mistress dips out the day the guy's executed. It's like, wow, you can't even at least stick around for that and say, you know, I love you. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. And, you know, my heart will be with you forever. And then you can go and do your own life. But, like, she's left him hanging. Like, literally. That was bad. Anyways, that's our story for today, you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if nobody's told you guys today, I love you. I'll see you soon.